Good morning. How are you?
We'll sing number 542. Number 542. Pure in the heart of God, help me to be. May I devote my life wholly to Thee. Wash thou my wayward feet, guide me with counsel sweet, pure in heart, help me to be pure in heart of God, help me to be. Teach me to do thy will most lovingly. Be thou my friend and guide, let me with thee abide. Pure in heart, help me to be. Pure in heart, O God, help me to be. That I thy holy face one day may see. Keep me from secret sin. Reign thou my soul within. Pure in heart, help me to be.
Dear Heavenly Father, once again, thank you for this day and thank you for everyone for being here this morning. We've got the prayers for this morning's worship service and for the Sunday school as well. Pray for prayers for teachers as well and as we learn lessons in the Word. And us for prayers who are on our sick list and prayers that Jan and Dave home last Friday and all the other prayer requests. And after, once our service is over today, Father, we ask for safe travels to our destination home and return again to our next appointed time. Forgive us where we sin, Lord. We ask this all in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We're adjourned to our class.
See, this morning.
Good morning, everybody. Wayne sent me a message last night and asked if I'd go in for me. He said he's had a real rough week. I know he's not going to feel well. So, even her prayer, I guess he missed Wednesday night, I think Karen did. And, he said that he did have just one day, he had a real hard day. And the Karen started to come and then she turned back and thought she was worried about him. She was like, else. And that's why they weren't with us on this morning. It's supposed to be in our prayer. people can ask me, yeah, Darren's home, we'll get that now. And so we're glad for that. Home's a good place to be, especially when you have to stay in a hospital for a little while. Home's a good place to be. So I didn't know what to pick for the last time, when I started out, last night. And so I went back and looked for one that I had taught before. And, it's about, I think it kind of goes along with what David's been teaching when he's talking about, the quality and character of discipleship. That's what we need to build. That's a lifelong effort. That's a lifelong task. It's not something that you can't take a pill and do it. You know, it's not something that, it's not like an epiphany. You know, when you get baptized and you have an epiphany, or a great, wonderful thought from the discipleship that hits you. And then you got it fixed from that time on. It doesn't work that way. And I think sometimes, although, you know, being a little bit lighthearted, sometimes that's what people expect. They don't understand that a life of discipleship is a life of affection for Jesus and connection to our Lord Jesus Christ and commitment to Him and what He teaches. And so sometimes people just don't, I think, properly appreciate that. And part of the problem, I've mentioned this before, part of the problem, you can't blame it on new converts, that's for sure, but sometimes they're just not properly taught before they're baptized. That's early to get them in the water. And I've done that. And when I started out preaching, years and years ago, when I started preaching many years ago, I did work several campaigns. We worked campaigns probably 2 now. So we worked several campaigns. And, you know, back in that day, the idea was to convert them just as quick as possible, and then we try to build them up just a little bit later. But the problem with that was is that there was such a high dropout rate. And so I think you have to balance what you teach them before they're baptized, you know, in the Great Commission. It says, "We'll make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." So what that means is they need to be taught why they need to be baptized. Go back and look at Peter's sermon in Acts chapter 2. So Peter laid, now these are all Jews already, but Peter laid a rock solid foundation of teaching before they even asked the question, what do we do? And I think that is the tactic that I've adopted over the years. And the idea behind that is that we teach them to the point that they say, what do I do? You know, so when you get them to that point, so I don't want to corner them and get them in a situation they can't get out of, so I'll just be baptized with this guy on my back. You know, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. And so people need to be taught that foundation needs to be laid. Think of the Ethiopian eunuch. And Philip taught him. Philip started where he was and he taught him. So why did Philip baptize the Ethiopian eunuch? Philip wasn't looking for water. He said, I've taught you enough, it's time to dunk you. That's not how it happened. The eunuch, when the foundation was laid, said, wait, here's water, what hinders me from getting baptized? That's the Bible way to teach people. And so many times, so many places, we've not done that. And sometimes preachers are castigated for not doing that. And I was told once not so long ago, so you're not aggressive enough. I don't want to be aggressive, I want to be instructive. I want to be instructive. I used to be aggressive, and that was counterproductive. It's also counterintuitive, I think it was counterbiblical. And so we get people to that point, and they understand that baptism is not an end, it is a beginning. It is a beginning of spiritual growth. It's the beginning of life in Christ. And Peter said, in 1 Peter chapter 2, he said, desire the sincere mouth of the word that you may grow thereby, so that you taste it that the Lord is great. And so it's a time of growth, it's a time of nourishment, it's a time of instruction. And that's what discipleship is. And for the rest of us, when do you get to the point as a disciple of Christ? I stopped counting the number of years I've been a Christian. I always subtract 3 years that I fell away, you know. But at what point in life, and emphasize life, at what point in life do you come to the point that you say that I've know the Bible, I've got it all, I've learned it all, I can just close my book and just take my ease until I die? When do you get to that point? I don't think you ever get to it. You don't ever get to it because there's always so much to learn. And I'll tell you, I've known people. I was talking to someone just the other day. I was making a visit about gospel preachers in the past and how nowadays it's a lot of, figuratively speaking, it's a lot of song and dance, a lot of entertainment, telling jokes and telling stories and things like that. If I can find a place, and I don't mind a little bit of levity, it's okay. And I use a little bit of levity sometimes. And I think the one I laugh at the most is me, you know. And so it's okay to do that. It has a proper place in the lesson, but I can't find anywhere where Jesus started a sermon by telling jokes. I'm serious. Now, he did tell some stories, and somebody, and I've been told before, I'm more of an old-fashioned preacher. I let the Bible talk for itself, you know. But why? I mean, I let Jesus tell the stories. I can't tell better stories than Jesus tells. And so we need to think as Christians, if you're not a Christian this morning, you need to think about becoming a Christian and think seriously about it. And I'm talking to everybody who maybe is not a Christian. You need to think seriously about it. And we will help you, we will teach you, and we will help you learn. And I will guarantee you that if you embrace the teaching of Jesus, the gospel of Jesus Christ, your life will be changed. You will be changed. You'll be a happier person no matter what happens to you. If it's positive or negative, bad things happen. If you are a faithful Christian, you still will be a happier person. There's no doubt about it. You know, Paul was in prison when he wrote to the Philippians, and he said, "Rejoice in the Lord always." And again, I say rejoice. He talked about other people that were trying to cause him grief, and he was so happy for the Philippian church because they were causing him joy. There's so much to be happy about as a Christian that even when bad things happen, yeah, we grieve with those that grieve and rejoice with those that rejoice, but nobody can take that joy away that Jesus puts in your heart when you're faithful to him and you know you're faithful to him. And that's the ticket. And if you are a Christian, the same principle is true. Sometimes people become sad and discouraged and distressed as Christians, and sometimes it lasts too long. Well, those things do happen to us. They did. But we should never stay in that situation, and Jesus won't let us stay there because he won't pull us out of it as long as we're depending on him and he's filling our hearts with the gladness and the joy of being a Christian. He will pull us out of it, and we will never sink into despair and stay there. It's not going to happen. He will not let it happen. Your whole outlook on life in the world is going to change. You're going to see people differently. Even people who do bad things. You're going to pity them because they don't know what you know. And that'll probably stir up the desire to pass on the message to people that don't know what you know. And so we have to have that mentality as Christians and I'll give you just one more example. We're going to get into some scriptures here. And I'm thinking about our gospel meeting that's coming up in September the 15th through the 19th. If you don't have that on your calendars, you can put it on there and outline it in red, because you don't want to miss that. Brother Alan Webster, the editor of Downtown Heart to Heart, has preached all over the world. You know, Downtown Heart to Hearts in like 50 states. And the world's in all 50 states. And I started in 1995 with a little local publication. The guy's got a lot of stuff to share. He's on the board of directors for polishing the pulpit. So we're not having a guy that's going to come in here and self-promote. We're going to have a guy that comes in and promotes Jesus. And he's going to be here for 5 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And in that 5 days, he's going to preach 16 times. And someone I was visiting just not too long ago said, oh, and they're thinking, yeah, it's going to be tiring. Few people have said that. It's going to be tiring. You think you're going to get tired as he is when he's done? 16 times in 5 days? I don't think so. And I know some of you are going to be here, you've got to be bumped up in the corner, I'm sure of that. Because I know some of you are not going to miss it, unless you have to miss a day. So if there's ever time, and I don't know that I'm going to get something terribly new from any of the lessons. I'm on a different viewpoint, and I hope I do get some stuff I haven't thought about. And there's a lot of things I haven't thought about. And I know that some of you have that same idea, that same attitude. I know the elders do. Because we talked about it together. So that's an opportunity to get fed spiritually. Like, I've never been anywhere in a gospel meeting where a preacher preached 16 times in 5 days. I never have. I mean, this is going to be a ride. And I hope that you can come and support it, and we can do as many as we can come. I know we have some people coming from what is it, Fifth and Beechwood down in. I know we have some people coming from down there. They're coming up on Thursday. They're going to stay all day on Thursday. So Alan's teaching from 9 to 3 on Thursday, and then twice again in the evening. You've got 6 lessons during the day. An evangelism workshop, that's what it is. And then twice again in the evening. I got a feeling we're going to have a number of people come to that day on Thursday. So this is a time to grow. Now, let's just talk about it a little bit more. When you think of verses like 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24. And you got to get into Paul's mind here just a little bit. When he's thinking about, a lot of times when he's thinking about what other people need to know, he's thinking about what he learned and how he applied that to his life. And it's interesting to see how he does that. And he's trying to help us understand. He's not like, he used to be a Pharisee, you know what, in Matthew chapter 23. That one of the things that Jesus criticized the Pharisees of, and he said, look, the scribes and Pharisees, they sit in Moses' seat, so whatever they tell you do, but do not do as they do. Because they say and they do not do. So I think Paul's making the point, he doesn't think like the Pharisee anymore. So he's not going to tell Christians to do anything that he has not done. That's the attitude all of us should have as teachers and preachers, and all of us are teachers, every one of us. That we're not going to encourage somebody to do something that we've not done, because that makes us hypocrites. And how many times in Matthew 23 did he say scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites? And so listen to what he says here. He says, do you not know that those who run in a race all run well, but one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. And so what's discipleship? Discipleship is like a race, right? And how many of you have ever been in a foot race? Some of us never have been, others have been. Or maybe you've been in a walking race, any kind of a race, or you played sport or something like that. I'm telling you, races aren't like we don't take a vote and say, well, Ken, how far can you run before you get winded? And then Randy, how far can you run before you get winded? I said, I think about 8 or 10 steps nowadays. I don't know. I can't so great. And so we're going to take that and we're going to average that out, and that's how long the race is going to be. Is that how they do it? That's not how they do it. They mark out a course that tests you, that tests your endurance. Have you ever hit the wall? You know what that means? When you run a race and you hit the wall, that's when you are sucking your lungs out, trying to get another breath in. Your legs are hurting. everything's hurting, and you think you can't take another step, but you know if you keep pressing on, you get through that, right? You break through the wall, and you get what has been known as your second wind. And that happens as Christians. Sometimes we hit the wall, and we think, that I just can't go any further. But we don't give up, and if we don't give up, and if we don't quit, we'll break through that. I have hit many walls, believe me. And most of you who are older have hit a lot of them too. But man, it's like that song for men. The sun will rise tomorrow. I'm thinking of the Son, Jesus Christ. And you get your second wind, and you go, and you're ready to tear it up. And you finish strong when it comes time to die. It says, everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Well, what does that mean? You exercise self-control, practice, you be careful, you watch what you eat, you're careful about what you drink, and so on. And that same thing is true spiritually. If we're going to be strong as disciples, we have to watch what we eat spiritually. And what we drink. What's the sign out there say? Is that Karen? She says hydrated. She wants to hydrate with the living water. I think that. So what do we hydrate with spiritually? We hydrate with living water. What do we feed on spiritually? With bread of life. That's Jesus. Those are the Jesus. And if we do that, we can really be in contention for the title. It's not just one prize, but for everybody that finishes the course, like Paul said he did in 2 Timothy chapter 4, starting around verse number 8, there's a crown of life that's to be given. So every one of us, we are in our own race against time and against Satan. And at the end, if we finish it, and we finish it faithfully, I fought the good fight, I finished the course, I kept the faith, Paul said. Henceforth is laid up for me a crown of righteousness with reward, the righteous judge might give, but not to me only, but to all those who love his appearing. That's what we're racing for. That's what we're racing for, the appearing of Jesus Christ. Oh, how wonderful that might be. How wonderful. When I think about it, I think, I can't wait. I'm not going to hurry the process. And I think that's Paul's attitude. That's what he's trying to share with us. He says, therefore, I run thus. Now he's talking about himself. He says, not telling you anything I haven't told myself. But he said, I run like this, not with uncertainty. Thus I fight, not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I preach to others, I myself become disqualified. And so Paul said there are some things that we need to give attention to if we're going to grow spiritually, and if we're going to compete in the masteries like in the athletics, as Paul told Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 2. It's like someone competing in athletics. You have to compete according to the rules, he said there. But Paul's telling us here that there's a process you have to go through to strengthen yourself spiritually to the extent that you don't drop out or fall out somewhere along the way and don't finish the course. And I've heard it said that if we had everybody who was a member of this congregation at one time here, at a moment we had to build on an addition. But there have been a lot of people who dropped out of the race. And I think that's probably true with just about every congregation. What causes that? Or we can fix some things, but there are some things we can't fix. And preaching and teaching the truth is vitally important to strengthening the spirits of people. Are we going to lose some? Yeah. Are we going to lose more probably than we baptize? Maybe. I don't know. And I keep thinking of that passage in John chapter 6, where Jesus taught that beautiful lesson. They followed him after he left, after he fed the 5,000, because they wanted more bread and fish. And he castigated them for that. And he began a wonderful lesson talking about the bread that comes down from heaven and how he's the bread of life. And you read on through that chapter in verse 66, and it says, many of his disciples went back and walked with him no more. And that gives me chills every time I think of it. Even Jesus, the Lord of Lords, the Son of God, couldn't keep people. Now, what might he have done so that none of them left? Give them some more bread and fish. And keep feeding them miraculously. They would never have left.
I think about that every time.
Yes, sir. I can't tell where someone's coming from.
Yeah, but that's what I think.
I gotta watch what people's lips move.
Congregations, try to offer up so many other things in order to keep us entertained and keep us coming back. And Jesus didn't do that, and Paul didn't do that, none of them did that. They taught the truth, and it got us to our heart, and we stay to learn more, to be together, to be the church. I love to have fun. I love the activities that we do, but that becomes the biggest part of what we do.
Yeah, that's the point.
Going down the wrong direction.
You're making a very, very, very good point. And that's really why some of the things that creep into that corrupt worship, that's why they corrupt worship, because they become the simple item that people look for. And I don't know. I'm just not. I don't get in the business of criticizing other congregations in the brotherhood. And we've got our own problems to deal with. But I've heard people say, I go here because they let me take a cup of coffee and come in the auditorium. These other people, they just sit. You got to listen to the Bible. So,
Jesus is that perfect example that people left them after.
yeah.
Great lesson. It's gonna happen. We wish it would. We pray that everyone that hears the word accepts it, but
And there is a place for helping people. There is a role for helping. And like Corey says, you should never, other than helping people, encouraging people, trying to build people up in the scriptures, you never encourage the world. Worldly things, it's like I said before, we're kind of, crows love shiny things. And so their nest will be full of shiny things, like pop tops and coins and bracelets and necklaces. And we're kind of like that. The devil's kind of like a crow. Because he flashes a lot of shiny things at him, off we go for the shiny stuff. What am I doing? Like the guy in Luke chapter 12, he built his barn. What are you going to do with it? So he bestowed it all on himself and not on God. The Lord said, you fool. Tonight your soul will be required of you. So what should he give thinking? He should think about his soul, not his belly. And helping others, not himself. This is what Jesus does for you if you want to be faithful and learn and grow. He'll change your thinking. You will be transformed, Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, if you stick with it. You will be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's what Paul said. And that's what Jesus will do for you if you let him do it. But you have to give him time. Because it takes time. All good things take time. And so it goes on and on. You think of Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18. How much time do we have left? 10, 15 minutes? 10 minutes? Okay. Well, if you go back and look at that, what's Paul talking about? He's talking about putting on the whole armor of God. That was our family restoration day, wasn't it? And why does he talk about the whole armor of God? Somebody talked about, I think somebody brought up during that class, that something about in Vietnam, they knew someone who in Vietnam who squatted up like out because they lost their shovels. Who was that? I don't remember. They lost their shovels. Well, I'll tell you why they did that. They paid a price for it. They couldn't dig in because they didn't have their shovels or little portable shovels to have a place on your right side. They knew they were going along trouble. They knew assemblies. They knew that they could not carry enough water, but they carried all of their gear. And so what did they do so they could carry more water? They unloaded the things that they thought that they probably would never need. That's what happened. I've known it to happen. But sometimes we throw away what we need the most, and we can't do that. And so Paul said the whole armor of God is absolutely necessary. Why? Because it puts fiery darts to devil. And what happens in the end? He said, when you've done all, that means when you put on your armor, you kept it in good shape, you never go out without it. This is spiritual armor. You never leave it at home. You're on duty 24/7, 365 days a year. And he said, when you have done all, you're going to be standing. You'll be standing. That means when you've done your armor and you've done your duty and you've done it faithfully. And what's going to be all around you? You're in a battlefield. And you think of those ancient battlefields where people died by the sword and the sling and by everything else that was in it. It was a bloody, messy place. And there were corpses lying everywhere. And who was left standing? Those who were trained, those who were armored, those who could not give up, and sometimes they had a little bit of luck on their side too, because they were armed. But that's why Paul said you have to put it on, put it all on. You have to know how to use it. The sword of the Spirit, the word of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, shoes, feet shod with preparation of gospel, peace, on. You need to know what it is, to identify it and use it. And he says when that spiritual battle is done, and we're going to talk about this morning in the lesson, we'll talk about the two pathways to eternity. One's the broad way through the wide gate, and many there be that go in thereat. So you think about when Jesus comes again, the tragedy, the glory, the wonder, the joy it's going to be for Christians, dead and alive. But it underlines the greatest tragedy in all creation, that more people said no than said yes. But when that comes, if you're faithful and you fight the good fight, like Paul said, that's another illustration used in 2 Timothy chapter 2. He said, you fight like a good soldier, and you don't give up, then you'll be left standing, and you'll leave that battlefield. God's going to take care of that. But that's how we have to work with discipleship in the Christian life. We need to learn, we need to grow, and we need to fight. And never stop until we die. Any thoughts? Can we do that? Are we up to the task? I believe with all my heart that there's not a soul in this building that can't do that, that can't learn and grow, and that can't go to heaven when they die. There's not a soul in this room that can't do that. And you don't have to do it alone, because we're here to help. We're here to encourage. And when you're down, we're here to help pick you up. And when you think too much of yourself, we're here to pull a few of your twin feathers. You know, you think more of yourself than not the thing. You don't not do that. And so I want you to give some thought. Why do we do this? Why do people talk to you about Jesus? You don't get a medal for it. You get a crown of life and life is over. But why do you do that? Because we love them. Why do we reach out to others? Because we love them. I know that I visit people sometimes that nobody else ever visits. And they've been lonely. When I served meals on wheels and delivered those for needs on 18, I was the only other person some of those people saw. The only one. And I went back and saw some of them and talked to them and tried to encourage them. Most of them were have a lot of serious health issues. And I think of our congregation, as small as we are, other people that nobody else ever does. Yes. And so we can help each other. We can get those. And whom you can't see, maybe I can. Ones I can't see, maybe you can. You can see everybody. And so we're here to help. We are. And then again, I know some people that I call for a visit, and they don't answer their phone for 3 or 4 days. No. But that happens. That happens. And to be totally honest with you, you know, sometimes I do that myself. I get messages on my phone, somebody said, "Paul said, didn't you get my message?" I said, "No, I didn't think I did." And I looked at it, and there it was. And maybe I've done that before once or twice, I don't know. Did you bring the last Thursday?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
So do you
Yes, sir.
call most people before you go visit, or do you just?
The ones, some people have told me that they don't care when I'm off, but I'm welcome anytime. Others say I prefer to call, and I do call. And so I would say if you prefer I call, let me know. If you don't prefer I call, I just can show up sometime. And there are times when I try to visit people, but I can't. It's very difficult to catch them because they're just very, very busy. Very busy. But that's just one thing you can do. You just try to encourage each other. And if you're interested in visiting, and then there are other times too, when some people tell you that they don't want anybody else to visit. That's sad. And that happens, but I've been told that. Because they're comfortable with me and they're comfortable with them, but they say, we're just not comfortable having other people come. And it stresses them. And I try to talk them out of it, but it's tough. And I have taken other people, and they've been really stressed about it. And so, sometimes you run into those situations. But you just still got to do what's right and never stop loving people. And that's why we talk to people, not teach. That's why we do it. That's why the elders teach it, that's why I teach it, that's why Dave teaches it on a fantastic job on Sunday morning. And that's why we preach it, brother. I don't know what was going to preach it, man, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the ones. And those of you who stick with it, if you can, I know some people can't. You have other obligations, that's understandable. And we appreciate that. But if you can stick with it to the end, you're going to be dead tired when it's done. I have no doubt about it. But you're not going to be tired now. And all I know is it's just going to be good. So I hope we can do it that way. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Nobody else? So we need this thing, we have the mindset of going on to perfection. That's the mindset of discipleship. That it's not where I am now, but where I can be somewhere down the road. And you extend it a little bit beyond that, where I will be when I get to the end of the road of life on this earth. And we need to keep pressing towards that. Paul said, I press toward the mark of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Philippians chapter 3, verse 14. That's our goal. And the grace doesn't end until we die. Our life counts for that. Anyway, thank you so much for your participation and listening. For reset. What's that? Is it still on? Thank you. Good morning. What's that? That's true, yeah. But we all want to hear what Jesus has to say, I would hope.
I went home and had
And I may have missed saying hello to you too, I don't know. Sometime I get sidetracked. Okay. Oh.